Welcome to the Chronically Will podcast, where we hold real conversations with community that need to be heard. In this part 2 with Jerri, Tell It Like It Is, Jerri gives more insight on her life with type 1 diabetes, also how being diagnosed at the age of 14 and with limited resources, she was forced to not only learn diabetes, but also due to the lack of education in type 1 diabetes at the time, she was forced to stop doing some of the activities she enjoyed. Jerri and her siblings would regularly get screened for diabetes and have glucose tolerance tests because of their mom having diabetes. Due to her high-level activity, it is believed that this is why she did not get a diagnosis until a routine physical. Early on, Jerri would have incidents in school where she would pass out and teachers would not correlate it with her new diagnosis. It was a very rough time for her then. And on the day a cure is here, Jerri has so much to think of, starting with her mom, her queen, her angel that she lost 35 years ago. Thank you, Jerri, for being unapologetically you. Now, I did want to ask you a few things about yourself, like your younger days, growing up Tennessee, correct?
That's correct. Originally, I was born in Michigan, and but my mother was from Tennessee. So after a while, my mother and father separated, and my mother moved back to Tennessee. And after moving back, maybe I probably was 10 years old when we moved back, and 4 years later, I developed diabetes type 1. I was in sports, and that's how they called it because I had to get a physical to run track.
How was it actually growing up in Tennessee?
It was country. It was more country. It was a stable, just normal, jumping ditches, climbing trees, just normal
kid stuff.
Normal kid stuff, building tree houses, we had boy cousins, and they were building go-karts, and we just had a big family. We just kind of just hung out together. But when school started, I was in sports. I ran track, and I was in the band.
What did you play?
The saxophone. I did the saxophone.
Saxophone, and you ran track.
I did the relay. I did the mile relay. So I was able to do track 1 year because the first year I ran track, I didn't have diabetes. But the second year, when I went back to run track for the second year, they wouldn't allow me.
A lot has changed since then because my daughter's 13 years old. She runs middle school track, and my son, he's in ninth grade now, but when he ran middle school track, 7th and 8th grade, like I will always see at least one child with a CGM on their arm. And that just tells you now like how much time has changed with the advent of newer modern technology, how it's made life easier for everyone managing this condition. Their parents can see from afar if their blood sugar is dropping or rising, and probably can just text them or send their coach or trainer a message.
My girlfriend, who I was telling you about yesterday, her daughter, the one's a doctor, her daughter is played basketball. So what I suggested she do is wear her Apple Watch on her wrist while she's playing. And the coaches really didn't want her to wear that because they said it might, scratch one of the other players or something. So she would wear like a wristband on top of her Apple Watch, and she could look at her watch and tell what her blood sugar was doing.
Right. She could just glance down.
Yeah, she just glanced down on if she felt any type of way. But, and her mother also would be there watching it, making sure. Her mother is she's a doctor, so, she's really on top of it. She on top of it.
When I first got an Apple Watch and connected it to my Dexcom, I couldn't believe like it was like diabetes wasn't there anymore. Really,
yes.
I could just look on my wrist, flick of a wrist, and know my glucose numbers.
That was the best.
Yeah.
And my husband kept saying, every time I would do an upgrade on anything, he just don't understand it because he's not diabetic. He don't understand it's a 24-hour, 7-day a week. It's a journey all day. Even when you're sleeping, you constantly, we will wake up out of the middle of your sleep. First thing you want to do when you wake up is look and see what your blood sugar doing. I mean, most people get up and run to the bathroom. I get up and look at my blood sugar and see what it's doing, and then I go do something else. It's just like a 24-hour child all day. So I got 3 kids, really 4 with him too. But
we're not going to get into that one. Yeah, managing diabetes is like managing triplets at once.
Yes.
Look, it's so many different variables with us all living with it. So it's and it's unpredictable at times. So to have that watch, that flick of the wrist on you, it makes it more predictable. Anything that makes living with a chronic health condition easier is, I mean, I promote you growing up in Tennessee between the ages of 10 and 14 before you were diagnosed. You said you were running around, jumping ditches, climbing trees, hopping fences, playing ball, doing everything, right? Right.
I was a tomboy, and we had boy cousins, so they was always challenging us, so we was always fighting with them, and we just right to the day, we still close as cousins today. Because I'm going to Tennessee this weekend. I'm going to where my cousin is, my boy cousin. So we're going to hang out with them this weekend.
Go and hang out with the gang. Get back with the gang.
Hang out with the gang again. Yeah, we're going to hang out with the gang again. So it was fine until I turned 14. I can almost pinpoint the summer that it happened. Before I was actually diagnosed, the summer that it happened, we had just moved into a new house. We had just moved into a new house. And we at the school we had to go in the summertime. That's when we did our training, our track training. We would do track training in the summertime. So you have to go to the school and get your track training and stuff. So we would go there in the summertime, and they used to have a band playing then too. At that time, I wasn't in marching band. I was just in the regular band. I hadn't made it to the high school band yet because I was still in middle school. So we used to go there and watch the band play, like kids go watch this. That was just something to do in the summertime. You go do your runs, and then you'll go and watch the band all day. And because I was running so much, and when I was to come home, I used to just go to sleep. I wouldn't eat dinner. I wouldn't do anything. I would go straight to sleep. I would just be so tired for some reason. I was so exhausted that summer. I remember just being so tired all the time, and I lost a whole lot of weight. I had lost a lot of weight, but my mother looked at it as me losing weight because I was running so much. We was running track, and but I lost more weight than I normally would lose, and I was thinking, "Ooh, this is good. I lost a little weight since I was doing all this running." I mean, it was baby fat weight, but it was still I had lost a lot of weight, and I didn't think nothing of it. And she didn't think of nothing. But every year when we used to get physical, we got a physical every year just because my mother had diabetes herself. She would make them do a glucose tolerance test on us every year. So all of us got it done. She had 5 kids, and she had us all do it every year. They used to give us these little sugar molecules, little sugar things to eat, just so it could see how it runs. Yeah. I remember those because they were square. They was white, like a sugar thing. And they used to give us those. Yeah, did you get one of those too?
I didn't, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen them before.
Yeah, they used to make us eat those things and see what would happen with our blood sugar. And every year we got it done, but that particular summer we didn't get it done. We didn't get it done. For some reason we didn't get it done. And then, but when I got ready to get my physical, they called it when I got my physical for track. Like when I went to get my physical for track, they got a urine test on me. They just did urine because they didn't take any blood. They did a urine test, and he was like, you splitting sugar in your urine. I didn't know what he was talking about then. My mother was like, what? She knew. She was like, what? And then it was all down here from there. From that point on, they put me in the hospital.
So you actually were diagnosed during a physical, like a routine exam. That's rare. That's very rare. And due to how much you were involved in athletics and everything, running around and stuff, it probably delayed that fast onset, which normally occurs with young people.
What do you mean you fast onset? What do you mean?
So like young people typically when they're diagnosed, like it's usually an emergence. Like,
oh, something happens to you.
Yeah, and there's an emergency. Like we gotta
Right.
rush them to the ER now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't get to that point because the only thing that's why I said mine was just luck. Because we got my mother, she was a person she gonna take you to the hospital. She's gonna take you to the hospital. No, if one thing go wrong, you're going to the hospital. So we stayed around white coats all the time because she was a diabetic and she was so afraid that one of us was gonna get it. So if anything happened, she gonna catch it. So that summer, when I got to get ready to get my physical for track, they caught it in my urine. But I knew that summer I had lost a lot of weight that summer. And I was doing a lot of sleeping. I was more tired that summer than any other summer. And I remember it was only for like maybe 3 or 4 weeks because we went out of school that long. So when we got ready to get our physical, he went there. I'll never forget, his name was Dr. May. I can still look at his face today and tell exactly what he looked like. Because then he said, well, you should, if you spilling sugar in your urine, you probably are a diabetic. And I was like, what? And Mom said, you're going to probably start taking shots. I said, I'm not taking no shots. And she was like, you're going to have to. And from that point on, they put me in the hospital and I could hear the doctors in there talking about, she looks normal weight. And they didn't know I had lost a little weight. Because to them, I was just normal weight. Because I probably was about maybe 100 pounds, but I was only 14. So they kept saying, I kept hearing them say, she looks normal weight though. She don't look like she's lost any weight. She looks normal. It doesn't look like anything's happened to her, any damage or anything. Like she's lost a whole lot of weight.
Right. And they didn't know you ahead of that diagnosis. Those emergency care personnel, they didn't know you. So they didn't know what your body normally looked like. They didn't know yet how you typically acted, anything.
Right. They didn't know anything about me. So, and I had weighed a little bit more. I think I probably lost about 15 pounds, about 15, because I probably was like 115 and I lost probably that 15. And all I had I was probably just at 100 pounds, maybe 106, something like that. But before the summer came, I was like 115 pounds. I wasn't a big girl anyway, but by the time that diabetes came on to me, it made me lose a little bit more weight. And from that point on, they put me in the hospital and they started trying to tell me I need to give myself shots. And I said, well, can't the nurse come give me a shot? They said they can't give you a shot every day. I was like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna get this shot. I can't do it. They would not let me leave the hospital until I was able to give myself a shot.
Now,
and I had to do it for 2 days. I had to give myself a shot for 2 days before they let me leave.
Now, you being diagnosed at 14, that's like a big coming of age time for people, both boys and girls, real big for young ladies as you're growing and maturing, different hormone and fluctuations and things. Now, at 14, we know that young ladies are more developed, more mature than young boys. Now, mentally, did you have to take on the brunt of that responsibility of diabetes from 14 and moving forward?
Yes, I did. My mother had 5 other kids, so therefore, even though I was the one with diabetes, she knew about diabetes. So she tried to help me out as much as she could. She didn't know herself. She had diabetes herself and it just wasn't, nobody knew. Besides, they just didn't tell us.
Right.
We just didn't know.
You were learning together.
No, we didn't know. We didn't know. I found out more about diabetes after she passed than I found out when I was a diabetic. Even at 14, I wasn't interested in learning about it because in my head, I'm like, I'm not taking that shot. But I had a doctor who, I told you, Robert Creech, Dr. Robert Creech, he stayed consistent with me. He kept, making me every time, if I had to go see him, and if my blood sugar was a certain number, but we didn't have any way to check our blood sugar.
Right.
And we was giving ourselves insulin blindly. And every day I went to school, I take the insulin. And before I can get out of school, I'm passing out in school every day. Every day I'm passing out. And the teachers wasn't believing me. They thought I was just trying to get out of class with my blood sugar dropping. And it just wasn't connecting. It wasn't connecting with them. It wasn't connected with me. It wasn't connected with my mom. It wasn't connected with anybody. So therefore, I had a really rough time at 14 to the age of 21. And by the time 21 came,
Yeah, being 14 and being diagnosed and having to take on this responsibility that, seriously, no child should have to. I know you come from a different era, but at the same time, the era doesn't change the responsibility of a child versus an adult because the mental capacity and the wherewithal hasn't changed over the years, where a 14-year-old can do something they wouldn't give you as a 14-year-old the majority of taking care of your mother's and your mother and her diabetes care. So
right.
knowing that they gave it to you, like the doctors, I don't know if if there weren't even diabetes educators really back then.
No.
For the most part, you may have had some people had endocrinologists, some people just saw their general practitioner.
I had an endocrinologist though.
Okay.
I had an endocrinologist. That's who Robert Creech was. The first doctor I ever seen as a diabetic was him. And he stayed my doctor up until the whole time I was in Tennessee. Whole time I was in Tennessee. He taught me a lot though. He taught me a lot as far as especially after my mom passed away. It's like he took me on as his own and he would check in on me all the time. And if I had any questions, I needed anything, he would always just tell me, come to the hospital. And, he just kind of took over because I knew nothing about it, but he was a diabetic himself. So therefore, that's why I probably knew as much as I did. That's why I was so interested. So I said, you know what? I probably need to go work in a hospital to find out all the new things that's going to be coming up with diabetes. So that's why I end up working in a hospital today. That's why I work in a hospital today, because I want to know anything that was going on new. And as far as diabetes, I could find out because I work in a hospital. And you see it, and I saw diabetes patients every day. And if you see them every day, like I saw them every day, and you see them coming in with amputated legs, blind, on kidney machines, you saw it every day. It kind of like you're like, wow, I better get myself together.
It forced you to
pay attention.
look more into your own health and figure out how can I avoid that and make my life less of a burden.
Right.
And so much I'm still stuck on this age 14. So much was added to your life at 14 with the care of diabetes, but at the same time, so much was taken away from your life at the age of 14 with you being diagnosed as a person living with diabetes. Things like friendships, peers, initially, were you able to go out and have that same fun and energy with your friends? Because you said you were passing out in school.
Yeah, I was passing out in school, but as far as my friends and stuff concerned, they knew nothing about it. They weren't concerned about it. I didn't really talk about it. So it was just and my mother, she, when she would look for jobs or whatever, she would never tell them she was a diabetic because for some reason back then, if an employer thought you had diabetes, they wouldn't hire you.
Diabetes was the big faux pas, so much of a stigma. Even today, there's still a great stigma placed upon it, especially in communities that aren't given the resources and educated, like Black and brown communities. And it's not at our fault at all. It's due to the media's perception of Black and brown people from the beginning of times. We know we're rich, we know we're kings and queens, but they always perpetuate us as being less than. So when you get a diagnosis of a chronic health condition, that even makes you more or less than. But I'm glad that over the years you were able to pick all that up and run with it and grab that ball and say, I control diabetes. Diabetes doesn't control me.
Exactly.
How did it actually affect you emotionally and socially as a kid? Were you able to give injections when your friends were around? Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you now, when I was younger, from the age of 14, 15, 16, 17, diabetes was there, but I didn't do anything about it. I had insulin sometimes, and sometimes I didn't have the insulin. So if I didn't have the insulin, it is what it is. So, and I think I think my body at that time was still producing some insulin, because some people come into the hospital and their blood sugar will be like 400 or 500. My blood sugar never got that high. It never got as high like 500. The highest it would get would be like 300, and that was high. But it would never. When I get in the hospital with other people who are diabetics too, they come in, sometimes their blood sugar be 900. I'm like, whoo. My blood sugar would never go that high. Even if I was to eat something I wasn't supposed to eat, it would never go up to 900. So I'm thinking that sometime when you have a honeymoon up here, you know that, right?
Right.
There's a honeymoon when you first become diabetic where your body is still producing some insulin. So I'm thinking around that time, my body was probably still producing some insulin for it not to jump so high up into the 900s. Because I was thinking, well, my blood sugar only 300 and theirs is 900. I must not be a diabetic then. But I didn't realize your blood sugar should be under 100.
Right. But so some people do have that extended honeymoon period, and just like like they consider like a lot of latent autoimmune diabetes in adults is a lot of, but that also can occur to children. A lot of occurs with children. So
yeah, I think it did, because my Dr. Creasy was telling me, he said, I think yours is just late. I think that you still are producing some insulin for your diabetes not to be so, because I didn't have to take that much insulin. In the beginning, they was giving me too much insulin. So when it was giving me so much insulin, when I go to school, my blood sugar would drop just in the middle, and the teachers don't want you eating in the classroom.
And there was no adjusting insulin then.
No, but when I adjusted, you just took this. They want me to take the shot every day. I took the shot. I only took it like once a day up in the before I went to school, and then I ate breakfast, and then I didn't take it no more until the next day. So what? And I didn't know what my blood sugar was doing for the rest of the day, because I ate lunch and I ate dinner, but I didn't take no insulin then. It wasn't like they was telling you take it. They had me taking a long acting insulin, thinking it's gonna. And because my body was probably producing some insulin, I believe that's probably what saved me, and I didn't fall out then, because I was taking just the long acting insulin, and they had fast acting, but they called it, I think it was called R or N or something like that. It had R and N.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was taking those injections then, and I had a bad time with the teachers. I had a bad time with the principal. Because back then they used to give students paddlings. You don't remember them days? They used to paddle us back in the day. So they used to make us, if you act up in class or anything like that, and they should think I'm acting up in class. I wasn't acting up in class. My blood sugar's dropping. Right. So they would make me hold my hand out, where they slap me in the hand with a paddle.
Not knowing that would equally make your blood sugar even rise more. That stress, that tension, like all of that, you being hit, like blood sugar's going up now. The adrenaline kicked in.
Take the paddling. They want to take the paddling on your butt or take the paddling in your hand. So I would tell them to just paddle my hand, and they would paddle. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I just stopped taking the insulin altogether. I just quit. I said, I'm not doing this no more. I said, my blood sugar dropping. I'm getting behind in school. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of people today, they don't understand. Well, they don't know about. Not that they don't understand it. They don't know about different eras within diabetes. First, when they think about that, all they think about is like, okay, today we have technology, faster acting insulins. But they don't think about the things such as like culturally things that then change, like in the school climate that you grew up in, where teachers were able to yell at you, paddle you, things like that. Those types of things also would affect the blood sugar, blood glucose levels of you, and it also would affect you mentally to where, like you said, I'm not taking my insulin. Because I don't want that to happen.
Right, exactly. And that's the reason why I didn't take it in school no more. Because every time I would go to school and take it, and something would happen, I would get the shakes, and then they'd give me a Coca-Cola and have me drink that whole Coca-Cola. I'd be sweating like a hog, just sweating. And I'm like, whew. And then they give me the Coca-Cola, then my blood sugar goes sky high again. And then I didn't have no more insulin to take. I was like, oh, well, it is what it is now. And I back then we didn't even have monitors. So this is a really good time to be a diabetic because y'all have so many things that we didn't have when I was first diagnosed 42 years ago.
42 years ago, and I guarantee some of those teachers who saw you in the classroom already had a perception or perceived thought, thinking like, "Oh, I know when her blood sugars are high and low." Like they really thought they knew, but they truly did not know. So,
No, they thought I was cutting up in class. I can remember one time. I think I was in like the 11th grade at this time. I had had it for a few years, and my eyes started messing up, and I couldn't see in the classroom no more. I couldn't see the board anymore. So my mother had to go get me some glasses. So I went and got glasses, and my mother wanted her to move me to the front of the class so I could see. The teacher didn't want me to move to the front of the class. She wanted me to stay because they gave assigned seats back then. She needs to stay in her assigned seat. If she got glasses on, they should be able to help her see. I lost my glasses. I lost the glasses, so I couldn't see. And then I left them on the bus or something, being teenagers and, just not paying attention, not realizing them glasses cost money. So I lost my glasses and I told my teacher, I said, well, I need to sit up in the front of the class. She said, well, you have a assigned class this year and you have to stay in this. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I remember one time I just cut up in class. I would just go for some reason, and that was not me. And I could tell that something was different, or something switched. I had a personality change because I had always been a happy-go-lucky child. But when that happened, I just went off in the classroom, and it's like I couldn't even control myself. So they put me out of the classroom and called my mother, and she had to come to the school. My mother, she was like, this is not you. This is not how you normally act. Why are you lashing out like this? I said, well, I told her I couldn't see, and she wouldn't let me come to the front of the class, so I just got frustrated.
right, and there's we know today that with the roller coasters of blood sugars, especially for you at that time, they do create altered minds. Like,
oh yeah, it really does. It really, really does. That is something like now. I tell you this all the time. I say, because sometimes her blood sugar, it ain't that high, but it don't get as high as mine probably did to have that alternacy. But because your blood sugar is going up and down, your moods, it kind of messes with your mood swings too, because it's an off balance. It's a chemical imbalance in your body. Anytime you have a chemical imbalance like that in your body, it's going to affect different things. It's going to affect your personality. It's going to affect how you acting, how you feel, your mood. It affects a lot of things. If anything's imbalanced, it's going to affect things. So that's some of the things that happened. I had mood swings, and it was just, as a child, honey, that first 14 through 21 years, it was rough for me.
Is a lot of that time through those first 7 years of diagnosis, do you get like flashes of memories during that time, or do you remember like everything? Because I know like I remember most of all of my life. Like I have a great memory of things that occurred, but when I think about like my diagnosis, I remember my diagnosis, but like some of them first few years, I feel like I was just doing things with no like true like meaning and value to what they were. Like I've always been into athletics, always been into art, always been into like entertainment and things like that. But I know it seems as though I was so sluggish for a great period of time for like those first few years. When I think back on it, I'm like, that was diabetes. But back then I didn't know it was because of diabetes.
Right. So how old were you when you got actually diagnosed?
Oh, I was 20 years old.
Okay. So you was older.
Yeah.
Well, at least you made it through high school without you didn't have to deal with the craziness of school. But how long was it before how long did you feel it before you said, okay, I need to go to the doctor?
So myself, look, we interviewing me now, huh? So,
Oh, no, I'm curious as well.
So it was about a week or two, because my parents had lost their home, and me and my younger brother were staying in a motel. My parents were staying in another room. And
Mm-hmm.
when my parents got their new house, so it was a lot of trauma and things going on during that time. My parents
Yeah,
got
mine too. Yeah, my
yep.
person got divorced, all this stuff too.
So when we got our new place to live, which wasn't even a house, it was a small apartment at the time. Um, I remember going back and forth to this McDonald's down the street and filling up these cups of lemonade. I could not quench my thirst, and I didn't think
Mhm.
water. But I could not quench my thirst at the time, and I was so overly exhausted and tired and drained.
Yeah.
And then for about 4 or 5 days, my room was directly connected to the bathroom. I was like the first few days I had to keep going back to the bathroom nonstop. But then after maybe like 2 or 3 days, it was like I had to stay in the bathroom. I remember
Mm.
nights laying in the bathtub, like because I didn't want to have to go lay down in the bed and wake up and go back to the bathroom. I was like, I'm just going to lay here in the bathtub next to the toilet. If I have to go, I'm going to go. And then, it got so bad and my mouth was so dry and so raw that one morning I went to my dad and I said to him, um, I said, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, I don't know what's going on with me. I said I can't stop using the bathroom. I'm so thirsty and exhausted. And he looked me directly in the eyes and he said, well, you got diabetes.
Wow, he knew it just like that.
So my dad diagnosed me and
Wow, that was something.
we my parents never drove growing up. Like we grew up in the city
Mhm.
and they always took public transportation. So we hopped on a public bus and went to the hospital in an emergency room. As soon as I got in there,
How was your blood sugar?
so this small hospital that I went to, so I do have the discharge papers. It says 500 max. So there,
Mm-hmm.
that was their max reading was 500. But my A1C at the time was 14.7.
Oh yeah, mine was
Yeah,
high too. Mine was like 16.
yeah.
It was high. And through them years, I never had a low blood. Never had a low A1C. My A1C was always 15, 16, 17,
Mhm.
18, 19. It was from 14 to 21. My A1C stayed high. It was always high.
Right.
I didn't even want to go to the doctor. I knew it was gonna be off the charts,
Mhm.
but
And
I didn't
now when we look back on that, we're like, how did we survive? But we did. It's
yeah,
more so because of, I guess, like, our people as a whole, we're
yeah,
survivalists. We figure out
right,
things and we fight through and strive through
yeah.
whatever
All the diversity.
with the bare minimum we get through.
I can remember this, Will. I can remember when I was first diagnosed and I had to go in the hospital. And everybody in the hospital was white. All the other patients was white. I'd be the only black person there. I'm thinking, is this a white person disease? And
Hmm.
I'm thinking,
And that's what
because
they said then.
my grandmother, um, on my father's side, um, her mother was white, blonde hair, blue eyed white woman. My grandmother was lighter skinned. My father, though, he was a dark skinned guy, and my grandmother married a very dark skinned guy. So that's where we get our pigment from.
Mhm.
Because before then, I'm thinking I probably got this from this white woman on the other side. That's because I
Right.
didn't think black people got it because there wasn't nobody else in the hospital that was black except for me. I was the only black person for years, and then finally I found one black girl that came in, and we became buddies, friends, because she had diabetes and I had diabetes, but everybody else was white, and they
Right.
all seemed like they had just so much education about it, and I knew nothing.
So when I tell you about like historically,
Mm-hmm.
dating back to way before the advent of insulin, they didn't think that people of color could get diabetes. Even when you look through old historical findings, like in Egypt and stuff, they talk about pissing disease,
Right. I
like
heard about.
where their bodies would drain so much until they died. But
Mhm.
there, even the like in 1922 when insulin was first used, No people of color were given it because they didn't deem people of color to be able to get diabetes. It was considered a middle to upper class white disease.
That's probably we got insulin today. Yep. Because if they would have thought it was our disease, like a sickle cell, we wouldn't have got anything.
Right.
They sickle cell didn't get anything. Same way with HIV. If HIV was a particularly black man's disease, than what it probably is now. But back then, when it first came out, it was white men that was getting it. So of course they trying to save them.
Right. So, I mean, diseases in the U.S. are usually majority ruled, like sickle cell, AIDS, diabetes, but we know like sickle cell trait is primarily in people of color.
Right.
100 years ago, if it was affecting someone not of color, then they would have been on it. They would have been ready to do whatever it took to make sure that it wouldn't become this chronic, debilitating disease.
Diabetes is the autoimmune disease. So when you have one autoimmune disease, others follow. Because I have lupus as well.
And lupus is a whole nother ball game.
It's a whole nother something else. But they don't call it, they had me on this medication one time, but they took me off of it because I'm not having any symptoms. I believe when I got my blood sugar under really, really, really good control, like I have it now, it just went away.
Oh,
it just went away. So I still
lupus
have
doesn't go away.
Tissue disease.
Right.
Huh?
I said lupus doesn't go away. Now some of the
no, I don't think it goes away. I think it's just laying dormant right now.
It can be a remission.
Yeah, it's in remission, and I think that also they calling it disconnective tissue disease. They're not calling it so much as lupus because I don't have all the other signs of lupus. The only signs that I really had was I was having joint pain. And if my husband or somebody grabbed my leg or grabbed my arm real tight, I could feel like it was like an extra pain when I did it. When somebody was to grab me, I was like, man, that was something else when that was going on.
Now, did you get the auto antibody test for lupus and the blood work?
Yeah, and it came back positive.
Mm-hmm.
It came back positive. So they put me on some medication. And I was on that medication for like 10 years.
Did it help?
And then after I was on it for so long, after a while, it started messing with my eyes. The medication they put me on, but that was one of the side effects.
Right.
It took me off that medication, and I haven't been back on anything since.
Do you think that your diet at all changed that?
I think so. Because, for most of my diabetic life, I was eating and medicating. I was eating what I wanted and I medicated. That's because that's what they told we had to do. I didn't know anything different until I read Dr. Bernstein's book. I always was a type of person that didn't eat a lot of sweets anyway. But when I read his book and he told me you should be on a low carb diet, which sometimes I would do low carb diets. Like sometimes I would just do meat. Like we went to a baseball game or something, and it was hot outside, and I didn't want to be feeling, the heat make you tired anyway if you're outside the baseball game. And I felt like if my blood sugar was high or something, I would be more tired. So if we go I would just eat a hot dog I would eat the hot dog with no bun and just get some coleslaw on it. So that's how I started eating. I started eating low carb type foods. But at that point, I really wasn't low carb. I didn't know the beat. I'm just going by what they told me.
Yeah, you just knew at that time, like me eating this without the bun is making my blood sugars stop being so erratic, like going up and down, bouncing back and forth.
Yes.
And you learned that. It's great that you were able to learn that because most people, they don't learn that. But I mean, once they hear someone like you across this podcast and a journey like this after having type 1 diabetes for 42 plus years, knowing that you can take control of it when given the resources, and you are a resource. Like to us in our community, a lot of people that look like us, they may not know it, but they are a great resource. We look at them and we say, if they can, if they will, then I can and I will. You know?
Exactly.
Face value means a lot in all spaces.
Yeah. If people see examples of it, of people actually living that life, they'll be more okay if she can do it. Because that's how I felt when I saw Dr. Bernstein in his videos. And he 80 something years old, and he is still, he been beat up now. He been beat up by diabetes, but he wasn't beat up so bad that he couldn't function or think. Or I mean, he's a brilliant man, and he's about 85 now. Because when I first met him, he was 82, 83, 45. He got to be older than that. He probably like 87 now, because I don't really watch him as much as I did when I first did, because now I got the hang of it, and I understand it's all about keeping your blood sugars under control under any means necessary. It doesn't matter. As long as your blood sugar stay under control, that's the goal.
As long as they're under control, you're in control.
Exactly. Because when I remember for so many years, they used to diagnose me as a uncontrolled diabetic all the time. But now when I get she said, it says in there, controlled diabetic.
Jerri,
that feels good. That feels good to know that I told don't put uncontrolled diabetic, because I am not an uncontrolled diabetic. I am a controlled diabetic.
You're the first one who I've done this for. Most people, I just put their name towards the title, but you're gonna be the first one. I got an episode title for you already, and it's called "In Control," because
that's right. Yeah, that's exactly what it needs to say. Because I'm in control.
You are in control. I mean, considering the fears of the past, knowing what your mom went through, your sister went through, like, it has truly helped you be the person that you are, to be the advocate, the self-advocate, the advocate for community, the advocate for people like me, who you're just meeting on a random weekday, people like who, I mean, you didn't know, you just met her like randomly and was like,
right.
You saw something and you were like, I know that I can input my ways of being in control into other people's lives, and they too can be on the journey that I'm on. Do you have any clue how old your mom was when she was diagnosed? Because I know you said you were 14 and your mom had already had diabetes.
Yeah, she had already had it for a few years then. I think she was finally diagnosed after her last child, which was my brother. And I don't know, because it's like myself, her and me both being in the hospital at the same time. Both of us in the hospital because our diabetes was out of control. She in the bed, she in one bed, I'm in the other bed. We in the bed together. In the same room. They put us in the same room together.
Slumber party.
Yeah.
Without
and
the party.
She wanted me to take care of her. And I said, I'm sick too.
What's the age difference between you and your younger brother?
5 years.
5 years. So
yeah.
Okay. So you said, so I'm guessing 9 years before your diagnosis. You were diagnosed at 14, right?
Right.
And so your younger brother, when he was born, you were 5 years old.
She was 20. She was 52 and I was 21 when she passed.
Okay. So y'all, 31-year difference.
Yeah.
I was just trying to put the math together, figure out like how your mom could have been because your brother's 5 years younger than you. So he was 16 at the time. So 16 years. So 16 years before that, your mom would have been 36 years old. So your mom was probably diagnosed around that. I'm going to give and take 2 years, maybe around 34-ish or whatever. So that's relatively young.
Yeah. She was young because she had the first onset of diabetes when she had my sister, who is 9 months older than I was. And because all of us are 9 months apart to my brother. My brother, he's 5 years or younger. And she had 5 kids. But my older sister, she wasn't with my father. She wasn't with my father. My mother had her before she got married. And she didn't have it then. but she did catch TB. She caught TB back. I'm like, can't win for losing.
Can't win for losing. Just knowing when your mom was diagnosed and knowing your story and how you said you feel as though you may have had like an extended honeymoon for many years, maybe having maybe had Lotta. It also makes me consider like your mom may have had Lotta, an extended honeymoon for many years as well.
Yeah, she probably did. Because they diagnosed her with type 2 though, because she was the adult, but still she could have been type 1 because at some point they put her on insulin.
Right, any adult that was diagnosed before like I want to say the late 80s to early 90s was diagnosed as type 2. Because before they just called it juvenile diabetes for type 1.
Right.
When we know today, because of all the auto antibody testing and the C-peptide test, that anyone at any age can have autoimmune diabetes. When your mom passed and you were 21 years young and she was 52 years young, did that too alter the way you took control of diabetes?
Well, before she passed away, I mean, she went through everything that a diabetic will go through. Everything, all the mishap. Like I told you, she went blind. She lost her kidneys, and they amputated her hands and her feet. So let me tell you how I look at diabetes. You know how all these things happen to your body? I look at it like this. Just like how you get a cavity in your mouth because all the sweets and stuff, that's the same thing happens in your body. The sugars, if you never brush your teeth, what's going to happen? Your teeth going to rot.
Right, they compound and start tearing you apart. Yep.
Yeah, it start tearing up everything. It's the same thing that sweets would do inside your mouth if you never brush your teeth. All that junk is in there. It's the same thing happens to your body. If you never get rid of the sugar, it is going to tear everything up. It's the exact same thing. So if you're going to be yuck mouth and not brush your teeth, and the same thing with insulin. If you don't take the insulin, it's going to tear up it's going to rot everything in your body. Because that's how, when she passed away, that's what it looked like. Everything just was rotten.
And then for someone who body doesn't produce insulin, the effects of it are like quadruple, like even more so. Like it's you have to do this. If you don't, there's no option. So I've taken from this that your mom at that time, because I mean even you at 21 years old, like y'all weren't given the proper education to managing. So if today in modern day society, like if your mom was to get her diagnosis, not only would she have you there that can help her along the journey, but also she would have the face value aspect. She would have more people who would look more into her condition and study it. And give her the education.
I know if she would have had a way understanding, she didn't have to die like that.
Right.
She did not have to die the horrible death that she died. She died a horrible death. She died a painful death. She died it was awful. When I say my mother died a slow, horrible, painful death. And that's what diabetes would do to you if you do not take care of. Because if you don't take care of your diabetes, I promise you, it's going to take care of you.
Take care of you.
It's not gonna. It's not the type of disease to say, okay, well, we'll catch up with you later. No, it's going to catch up with you, so you can keep living the way you want to live and just eat all the junk food you want to eat. I promise you, at some point, it's going to catch up with you, and it's going to take you out, and it's going to take you out slowly. You're going to be trying to do everything you can to get back on track, but once you mess up your organs, that's it. You can't. When your kidneys gone, they ain't coming back.
Right. There's no regeneration. They can't regenerate. So that's what I tell people when they be across social media and stuff, you might see someone telling someone, well, if you drank this or did this, you wouldn't have to take insulin. Your diabetes would go away. They don't understand that it being what we have being an autoimmune condition, that you cannot just regenerate a cell.
Right.
It's like,
but they getting to that point where they're doing that what do they call that stem cells.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of.
They are actually really, really close, but they've been telling me for 42 years, we so close to a diagnosis, we so close to a cure. I don't want to tell me you got no cure. You've been telling me that for 42 years. I don't want to hear it. I don't. Call me back when you got one.
So on that note, this is how I end all of our conversations, Jerri. Listen to me first.
Okay.
If you can hear me clear. Okay. Today, March 2024.
March 7th.
Right. March 2024. With all of the testing and things that are being done today, I'm not going to put into the science and all that stuff because I know what science is doing. I've been a part of some of those conversations, and I've known people who have been able to be without insulin for a number of years through these trials. Now, today, if a cure was here, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, no if it's going to work, no if it's going to be available for me, if I can access it today, if a cure was here and you were cured, diabetes was eradicated fully. You wake up, you don't even have to look at no numbers. On that day, the cure is here. Jerri, what do you do?
That's a very good question. Because after living this life and having diabetes for as long as I've had it, for 42 years, I don't know if I will believe them.
You
I
may
don't
not
know
believe
if
them,
I
but
could just go back to.
You may not believe them, but it's here.
I probably start crying first. Because I almost just start crying just the thought of when you just said it. I felt something just like,
I saw it.
I felt something right there like, wow. And so for so long that they've been telling me, oh, we're about 10 years out. We're about 10 years out. 20 years ago, y'all said 10 years out. It's 42 years now.
And I know
still 10 years.
Diabetes has taken a lot from you.
Yeah.
Time, space, people you love, that energy, that light, just memories, your family, not being able to see your mother as she grew old and you grew old with her.
Right.
Like, I equally said something similar when I was given this question. I said, I'll probably just drop down to my knees.
Yeah.
Now, and I have had conversations where people said they're going to book a flight and just like not care about anything. Some people are like, they're going to go splurge and do this and do that, like with the money that they're able to save. One person said they're going to get this big ice cream cone that they've always looked at and wonder what it tasted like. Yeah, everyone is different. I mean, but
that, you know what? I probably would just wow.
I would be severe, like it would be like pure shock.
Yeah, it probably would be shock. First of all, I'd be shocked, and I probably just go get me a big old hamburger and not worry about what's on it. Because normally, if I get a hamburger, I just eat the meat and the lettuce and the pickles and stuff that's on it, and just leave the bread. But normally, yeah, I will probably just give me a regular hamburger and a regular fry. But I still probably wouldn't get no. I probably still get a Diet Coke. I don't like
yeah.
I probably still get a Diet Coke.
Jerri, this has been an amazing conversation. Something that I really wanted to have with you. From day one when I reached out to you, and you were like telling me about your A1C and your average glucose levels being in the 80s and all that. So I knew you had that math and science behind it, but I wanted to know more about the person. So now I feel like, I mean, we're family, like we are.
Right.
We are, and made that connection here. And before we go, is there anything that we didn't speak about or anything you want to like mention out there into the space to the people?
Yeah, I would just say, diabetes is not the end of the world. I know it's a lot of other diseases out there that's way worse. And in this time and in this space where we live in diabetes today, I just feel grateful and thankful that I actually lived long enough to see this and educated myself enough where I'm not afraid of diabetes anymore. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I used to always say, I didn't think I would make it to 50 years old. I thought by 50 was so far away from me in my 20s that I didn't think that I would ever make it to 50. And when I made it to 50, I was like, what? I made it to 50. So then my goal was just to make it to 52, just to be past my mother's age. So now I'm 56. And I feel like I'm that age now because of the technology and all the things that's been designed in this 2024 that's helping everyone stay alive. And all the things that's going on and the connections that I've made with other people who are diabetics is it's a wonderful thing. And I'm glad that you are doing this and putting this together for other people to have, because years ago we didn't have this. We didn't have this community of people and Black people seeing other Black people with type 1 diabetes. I thought I was the only Black person with it. And now that, we are joining together, and you're helping, and this was something I wanted to do too, but I'm just so busy at work that I just like, I don't have time. So I help in other ways. If I see somebody that need help, or if I see a way that I could talk to somebody or help somebody or give them that Dr. Bernstein's book, tell them it's not the end of the world. Diabetes is more treatable now than it ever has been before. We have come so far, but we're still so far away. But today is a good day. It's a good day and a good time to be a diabetic type 1 now, because the education on it has really blossomed. And I'm happy and appreciated that I'm here to see it happen. So I feel like if my daughter have a child that has type 1 diabetic, they have a better chance than what I had, because I shouldn't have had to go through those first 10, 15 years like I did. It should have been more education out there and more people trying to tell type 1s and type 2s how to actually take care of themselves. So I feel like now is a good time to be a diabetic. If you're going to be a diabetic, it's a good time to be one, because they have so much technology and so many different ways that people can get their A1C in control. And they have so many different foods that you can eat now that's in the grocery store. They even have bread, ice cream. Do you eat any ice cream or anything? Do you eat the ice cream?
I don't, but I know it's available.
Yeah, it's available. I keep it in my refrigerator just in case if I want some ice cream. It's in the refrigerator. But I have chocolate in my ice cream. I have butter pecan. I have it in my freezer, but just in case if I catch a sweet tooth, I give me a couple spoons of the ice cream, and it does nothing to my blood sugar. Right. So that's
So Jerri, on that day when a cure is here, contact me so we can go out and get that burger, because it's been. I don't eat beef in general, but on that day, I will get that big beef bison burger and I will bite into that thing. Like, probably would give me like the shakes and jitters and everything, but it will be an amazing time, just like it's been an amazing time here with you, Jerri. And I just want to end on this note. Know this: your mom is smiling because you're shining. Thank you for joining me on the Chronically Well podcast, where we hold real conversations with community that needs to be heard.
All righty. Thank you, Will. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All righty.
Are you a person living with type 1 diabetes? If you answered yes, then I need for you to do me a big favor that will benefit the future for T1Ds moving forward. Join the T1D registry today so that your voice as a person living with T1D matters. Sharing your T1D experience can help to bring your insights into the development of new products and treatments. Once enrolled, you will be notified about other T1D research opportunities like surveys, focus groups, and clinical trials. Participation in research should reflect the diversity of all people living with type 1 diabetes. Why wait? Join the T1D Exchange Registry today via my link. t1dexchange.org/will, that's WILL, dash streets, STREETS. That's t1dexchange.org/will dash streets.